Welcome back to 310 to Left, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. He's former Red Sox pitcher and current NESN analyst Lenny DiNardo. I am not Tom Caron, but rather a wan and inadequate imitation thereof. Nevertheless, we persist. Lenny, it's great to see you. Let's start with what was, the special part of the last couple of days. The NESN Jimmy Fund, the WEEI NESN radio telethon, raising over $5 million in support of the cancer treatment and research efforts of the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. How would you describe what these couple of days represent to you on the baseball calendar?
Oh my goodness. Just over $5.7 million. It broke the record from 2008, I believe. Last year was 4.9. So not only did it beat last year's number, but just completely blew it out of the water, and it was all inspiring. I was there day one on the stage talking to doctors and patients and people that are being affected by this terrible disease. That's on the negative side, but also being effective by the positive side about people donating money, getting to cancer research, which at the end of the day, it's going from the test tube, the lab, into clinical trials. It's helping the cancer care, go from it's very precise now. It's less invasive, and it's more personalized now. And that type of care is exactly what we need right now in 2025. It's every year, and in the past 5-10 years, you can see so many breakthroughs, and the money that was donated is going into that research and care, and it's amazing to be a part of that, and to be able to see the smiles on the kids and young adults' faces. So yeah, it was a great couple days. Everybody did an outstanding job at WEI and NESN, and I'm looking forward to next year. Let's break that number again.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I think you hit it dead on. Like it is such a light to be able to be around the people who are making breakthroughs in this field, and to be able to see something where there's problem solving that's happening right before our eyes. There are so many different directions in which it can feel there can be like these existential crises of like what matters, like what can we do to affect positive change. This is something where positive change is regularly being affected. So like it is truly it's an incredible and uplifting couple of days. I had the chance to get to sit with Brianna Wakefield as well, and like what a remarkable advocate she is for the care of cancer patients, for cancer treatment, for the Jimmy Fund, and what an incredible job she's doing of continuing the legacy of her dad, who we all miss very much. But what his legacy is very much alive in what Brianna is doing.
Absolutely. I mean, Brianna and Trevor, Tim and Stacy would be extremely proud of what they're doing. They're at the ballpark all the time now. Whether Trevor's selling 50-50 raffle
Yeah.
tickets to help the cause, and Brianna visiting the Jimmy Fund, visiting Fenway Park, talking to people, patients, and just being there, right? Lending her support to the cause. And like I said, Tim and Stacy, extremely proud of them and what they're doing as far as continuing the mission.
So that was kind of some great things that were happening around Fenway Park over the last couple of days. For the Red Sox, there were on the field some not so great things happening over the last couple of days, right? This wall that they had created, right? Like the great Fenway wall that had been built, and where they were always going to be able to kind of like reestablish their footing. Did not hold in this instance. They won the first two games of the 5-game homestand against the Marlins, and then ended up losing the next three. So it's the first time the Red Sox have lost back-to-back games at Fenway since the very beginning of June, when they lost four straight, over a stretch when they were in some deep trouble, and before a lot of things changed. Over the course of those games, those three games that the Red Sox lost to the Marlins, and the two against the Orioles. Lenny, what are you seeing? What are the areas of where are the leaks springing up in August, which to me is like such a kind of pronounced test of the baseball calendar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was at the game on Sunday, and the game prior to that on Saturday, they had to use Chapman, right?
Hmm.
Isaiah Campbell went out and was supposed to kind of get the job, stop the bleeding, go out there and just kind of fill innings and get to the end of the game. Wasn't able to do that effectively. They had to bring in Chapman, second day in a row. He only threw 3 pitches, but people don't realize that that is just the tip of the iceberg. It's the whole warm up, it's the build up, it's off the mound, it's getting into the game and the adrenaline flowing. So they had to use him that second day, which means he wasn't available the third day, which tells me that, if you're out Chapman, right, it's a different type of bullpen. If you don't have your mainstay, your anchor, you're going to be in trouble. And that was the trouble early on. The bullpen kind of just sprung leaks. They weren't able to get it done. Comes down to throwing quality strikes, getting ahead, which sounds cliche. It's starters, it's relievers. You got to go out and get strike one and be competitive in the zone at the start of these at bats. If you can do that, the stuff is good enough to get them to chase outside the zone. And they were continually ball one, ball two, and then leaving the balls over the middle of the plate that are get hammered. So yeah, the bullpen, that's been the biggest thing for me. Last night was a different story. I thought the bullpen did a good job. They gave up 1 run, but
Sure.
overall did an outstanding job of keeping it where they needed to be. Uh, the offense last night, 0 for 13 with runners in scoring position, 13 batters left on base. He had the bases loaded 3 innings in a row. Couple instances where you couldn't get a bunt down in a key situation. Little things like that are going to affect this team in a big way. Uh, you've got Walker Buehler just continually walking batters, going out, and he's got that 7 pitch mix, and we always go back to that. I want to see him throw more fastballs, less of everything else. Yeah, you have to have secondary pitches. You have to have something off of that fastball, the baseline. But
Hmm.
pick 1 or 2 of those, cutter, slider, whatever it is, and throw that until they can prove that they can hit it. There might be a little bit of overthinking there, in my opinion, thinking that because you can throw 7 pitches, you need to or you ought to. Um, if you have a fastball that's 93 to 96 and you can locate that effectively, getting strike one, then everything else kind of falls into place. You don't need to say, this guy's weakness is the changeup. So I'm going to throw his weakness. Throw to your strengths. First and foremost, pitch to your strengths. What are your best 3 pitches on that given day leaving the bullpen? And it might be different from start to start. You might have a cutter that day, go to it. You might have a sweeper another day, go to that off of the fastball. So the bottom line is this team is streaky. They can go 9-1 or 1-9
Mm.
at the drop of a hat. I'm sorry to say, and hopefully they kind of turn a corner here and get back to playing good quality, sound baseball on all fronts. Starting pitching, bullpen, key offensive output in key situations, not striking out with guys in runners in scoring position. Um, and hopefully they don't have to use Chapman in certain instances where you go into the 7th inning and there's no way you're going to use him, and then he ends up going out there in an emergency situation. That's where they're at their best.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to unpack in what you say. There are a couple of things that I want to get to. One of which is the whole Chapman question. People are like, oh, they're not using him 3 straight days. Guess what? No one has used it. He's been with like 12 teams in the last 3 years, and slight exaggeration, not much. And no one has been using him 3 straight days. In fact, earlier this year, the Red Sox did use him on 3 consecutive days, and it was the first time he had done so since 2021. So this is not an anomaly. Aroldis Chapman, in order to create that incredible power from his delivery, he is using a lot of physical energy in order to get through any one of those outings. So this isn't an aberration. But behind Chapman, Chapman is still a swing and miss dude. The Red Sox right now in the month of August, they are not getting swing and miss from the rest of their bullpen. So you talk about the need to throw quality strikes. They're nibbling because they don't get swings and misses in the zone, right? Except for Chapman, where he can just let it eat. But the rest of them, this is going to be kind of, I think, a little bit of a talking point over the coming over the rest of the regular season, really, about what did the Red Sox do, what did they not do at the trade deadline. You're going to have this weekend the contrast of what the Yankees did at the trade deadline, where they tried to build another bullpen Death Star, which actually has been kind of defective in some respects, right? Camilo Doval has struggled since he went to the Yankees. Jake Bird struggled so much that they optioned him almost instantly to AAA. Bednar has been very, very good for the Yankees, but that's backfired a little bit. The Yankees actually have a worse bullpen ERA in August than the Red Sox, but the Red Sox, in adding only Steven Matz, did leave themselves open to the question of, did you add enough swing and miss in the bullpen? And I think that we're going to be seeing guys coming up from AAA as they look for different solutions and kind of roll the dice there. But I want to get back to what you said about Walker Buehler, because I found that to be super interesting and very germane, right? He's healthy again this year. healthier than he's been in a number of years. But he doesn't really. He's trying to figure out what his stuff allows him to do on a game after game basis. And this whole year has seemed like such a mental grind for him. And I think that last night we saw that to a certain degree come to a head because he is so frustrated with the walks that he's issuing, right? The fact that he had been a guy who just let it rip in the strike zone throughout his career when he had 97, 98, 99 in his pocket and a hammer curveball coming off of that, right? Like he didn't need 7 pitch types back in his 2019 to 20, let's call it 2017 to 2021 heyday with the Dodgers. And now he is kind of looking, he's trying to feel what works on a given night. And it's clearly frustrating, something that was evident in his comments after his most recent outing against the Orioles. Here's Walker Buehler.
Last couple outings, Walker, you had going 6. How do you characterize it tonight for you?
Yeah, I mean, at some point the kind of leash that I'm given has been earned. You know, I think they did the right thing in coming to get me before the Henderson at bat, and our bullpen has been great. So, you know, for me personally, I think everything kind of went according to plan until the 5th, and you go double 4 pitch walk, and the way I've been throwing it all kind of makes sense. So, yeah, just a tough game in general. You know, I felt pretty good about where I was at through the first 4, and just kind of couldn't find it again there in the 5th.
Alex has talked about walks being the key for you right now.
Yeah, it's fucking embarrassing, man. I think the last time I walked this many in a season, I threw 207 innings. So, yeah, it just sucks.
You talked a lot earlier in the year about, you know, your just the process of trying to get back on track to be, you know, at this point, do you feel like the strides have done what you hoped to this point, or do you feel like you're just kind of spinning the wheel still?
I mean, I don't want to be an but, like, what do you think, bro? Like, you know, to be completely frank with you, like, you know, we can have these questions as much as you want. I can tell you how hard I'm working and how hard we all are working and all that. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, it's not going so good. And 2 hitters in the 5th inning for me takes an outing that I probably feel pretty good about until, you know, into something that I don't. And so, yeah, I don't feel super good about it.
3:10 to left is presented by your New England Ford dealers, who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 3:10 to left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, so Walker Buehler, accountable, obviously frustrated, but I think the catch-22 situation he finds himself in is he's been hurt on 2 fronts. He's either walking batters, and when he's over the plate, he's giving up the long ball. He's giving up a lot of hard contact. So you got to look at other pitchers that are out there that are successful that don't necessarily have swing and miss stuff. And he's not the old Walker Buehler from early on in his career. But look at Brian Bayo. Brian Bayo's got great stuff. Is it necessarily swing and miss? No, he's at his best when he's pitching to contact and he's letting his movement and those secondary pitches at the bottom of the zone off of that fastball up, in and out. They work effectively together to put the ball on the ground. That's what Walker Buehler needs to do. He needs to be optimistic in the zone. Say, my intent is I'm going to throw strikes. Rather than kind of letting the game speed up and going away, in, pulling off, leaving everything open. I can see it kind of snowball relatively quickly for him. And I say that because there's certain points in the game where I say, step off the back of the rubber, take a deep breath, reset right here. And he's already thrown 3 pitches by the time that's happened. So, yeah, it's a reset mentally, physically to get back in the strike zone. Say, okay, what's the task here? Get strike 1, get strike 2, go out there, use whatever, the cutter, the sweeper, to get that swing and miss. That's where the swing and miss is when you get in a certain count. It doesn't have to be strike 1 or strike 2.
It is really kind of striking to think that the Red Sox are about to go to Yankee Stadium, where Walker Buehler had this kind of a statement series of games in the World Series last year, right? Like, this is what convinced the Red Sox that's the dude who we're going to sign to the 1-year, $21 million deal, because like both in terms of stuff, in terms of mechanics, it all came together for him again back in Yankee Stadium last year when he was. He was a difference maker for the Dodgers, not only making a great start for the Dodgers in Game 4 of the World Series in Yankee Stadium, but then also being the guy on the mound to close out Game 5 in Yankee Stadium. And this series coming up, 4-game series in Yankee Stadium, who's the one starter who's not going to be making an appearance there? It's Walker Buehler. And I think that says a lot about what this year has become for him in a way that is very clearly enormously frustrating to him.
Yeah, it has to be because when we signed him, that's the first thing everybody went to is this guy's a big game pitcher. This is a guy that excels when the lights are the brightest, and in the postseason, this is where he's at his best. And it's got to be frustrated for him. I know it's frustrated for Red Sox Nation watching kind of the up and down season that he's had. But if you can't compete in the big leagues at 94 miles an hour, if that's slow, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it doesn't come down to that stuff. It comes down to locating. It comes down to competing. And when you're constantly ball one, ball two, that's just not competing. And he knows that. He's a smart guy. He's very conscious of what he's doing mechanically and what he's doing with his repertoire. So it's just a matter of kind of dialing it in, using what he has on any given day effectively in the zone and competing from there.
Yeah, but at the same time, Lenny, like, getting back to something you said earlier, the Red Sox struggles in recent days haven't just been because Walker Buehler had a tough start and got yanked. I mean, shoot, it was still a 2-0 Red Sox lead in the game where he got yanked. The issue was that the inherited runners that he left behind ended up scoring, as well as one other on the watch of Justin Wilson. And then the Red Sox failed in critical situations. So, there is that question of where the offense is at right now. There are peaks and valleys. I think that's going to be typical of a relatively young team where at times you see them super locked in with a great approach and just torching the ball in situations. And then you have a situation like last night where you have punch out with the bases loaded and no outs, which is I've been able to look back to 2008. It's the first time that the Red Sox had a bases loaded, no out situation and failed to score a run while punching out 3 times in that entire arc of time. So that's not great. But I think that overall there are things that the Red Sox can kind of hang their hat on as they move forward in the Yankee Stadium. A very interesting trip to Yankee Stadium, right? Like, we've talked about the Red Sox home field advantage at Fenway Park that's predicated in no small part on their ability to take advantage of the left field wall. Well, Yankee Stadium is the opposite. It is the place where, right-handed hitters, if they can flick the ball to the opposite field, they will benefit enormously. Left-handed hitters, if they can pull the ball, they will benefit enormously. It plays, these are in some ways mirror image parks, and it's a kind of fun concept to consider that these two homes of arch rivals play in such dramatically different fashions and reward strengths in such very different fashions. And so to take stock of that, I had a conversation with Dillon Lawson, who is the Red Sox assistant hitting coach, but previously he served as the Yankees hitting coach and spent a number of years working in their organization. We discussed some of the differences between the parks. We also discussed some of the principles involved on both the Red Sox and Yankees lineups. So without further ado, here on 310 to Left, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers, is Dillon Lawson. Joined now on 310 to Left by Red Sox assistant hitting coach Dillon Lawson. And Dillon, it's great to have you here. Thanks so much for hanging out. You've gotten a chance to work in some pretty special places, right? Like, you're going to be going back. This is airing because you are going to be going back to a place that you called home for a few years in Yankee Stadium. You have also gotten a chance to work in Fenway Park. Very different ballparks. Yeah. Like, how much does the ballpark shape what you are emphasizing as a hitting coach?
I think that obviously Fenway being so unique, and we've always talked about, right, like especially your reporting over all the years, how important the right-handed power bat is here. And then you get the flip side, like almost literally the flip side of it at Yankee Stadium, where it's short and right, and so you're looking at a bunch of left-handed success, unless you can be one of the big power righties that they might have that can hit it out oppo too. So it goes into game planning, and sometimes your approach against a certain pitcher at home here might be different than if you're facing, that same pitcher on the road at their park.
Well, it's super interesting because like there's this huge emphasis on like learn to pull the ball in the air, right? Like no matter the handedness, as guys are coming up through the minor leagues, like that's what you want them to do. That's where you're going to get the hardest exit velos, right? Like the perfect. You're catching the ball out in front. You have that best chance to really crush it, and yet. It can be kind of punishing in your home park to pull the ball in the air if you're a left-handed hitter at Fenway Park, or if you are a right-handed hitter at Yankee Stadium, not named Judge or Stanton.
Correct.
Then it can be a little bit kind of dismaying to crush a ball and have it die short of the warning track. So, is there an unusual is there more emphasis for Red Sox guys coming up, like a Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer when they're in the minors of? Yeah, go ahead and use left field to your advantage than you would have had if they were coming up in the Yankees system.
I think that you're just trying to be as well-rounded as possible. And, you know, the way that the ball comes off the bat and the ball flight that you create, a lot of it, you're right, it's saying something about your bat path, about the pitches that you're probably able to make contact with. And so you're wanting to be able to do all of it because at some point in time you're going to be asked to hit the fastball up and away versus the fastball down and in. And those are skills that we want to have. So we're trying to, especially at the younger levels, to, you know, help players become as robust or as well-developed, well-rounded as they possibly can. And then when they get to the big leagues, yes, development still continues. We obviously pride ourselves on that, but you're also trying to just take advantage of the player's strengths at that point. And so you get guys like Jarren Duran, he does use the wall really well. We're probably going to
see his numbers at the home park
exactly,
as well.
Right, and you're probably going to find Nate Lowe is going to be able to use that wall really well too. But then you get other guys who do pull the ball really, you know, like Willie. His strength is to the pull side. Luckily, he does have enough power to actually get it out here.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, hopefully, I think he's probably had a few in Yankee Stadium as well. So.
Yeah, although it's also really interesting because, like, it used to be that a right-handed hitter, like a strong right-handed hitter, J.D. Martinez was a good example, could get the ball out into the Red Sox bullpen, right? Like, he could stay on, he had an approach where it was drive the fastball to right center field, use that, and then breaking stuff, you catch out front, you pull that over the fence. Now, like, it was really interesting watching the arc of J.D. Martinez's Red Sox career because the ball changed over the course of his 5 years here. So did the ballpark. Right. They started building stuff up that changed the wind currents and the wind patterns. And so, like, in his last year at Fenway Park, he had his contact to right center looked exactly the same as it had earlier in his career, but there was no power to it because it couldn't clear the fence. Like, is that a great part of being a hitting coach that the conditions are changing, or is that an infuriating part of being a hitting coach?
If those are my only two options, I'm taking answer B. That's infuriating because you're always, you know, there's so much variability to hitting and just period. Adding in more, you know, the ball changing, the ballpark changing, the wind, all of this type of stuff. It's just there's just so much that is now out of your control. You just wish you're just trying to get a little bit more control with everything, and it's not always the case.
Yeah, fair. Well, the joy of what you do is in working with players and having something that you work on click, right, and allow them to take a step forward. So you have an interesting perspective on the 2025 Red Sox because you were working as a hitting coordinator in the upper levels last year, getting a chance to work with Roman Anthony in AA and AAA, with Marcelo Meyer, with Christian Campbell as they were kind of bolting through the system. Roman obviously has been something of a headliner this year. The idea of a 21-year-old at the beginning of his big league career posting a 400-plus on-base percentage through roughly a third of a major league season is ridiculous. What do you see Roman Anthony doing? What was the first thing that you saw Roman Anthony do that really like caught your attention as like that's a special skill? And what is he doing now that's different than what you saw a year ago that also probably tells you that's a special player?
I think that his ability to kind of control the zone throughout an at-bat has always stood out. As a hitting coach, you see that kind of behavior and you think that there's a certain like safety net to his performance, and the fact that he can, like, more times than not, he's gonna, when he does swing, it's gonna be at a good pitch, and he's going to not chase
Yeah.
the bad pitches as often. And so, like, I think that's really noticeable. His mature demeanor is very noticeable, especially when you start comparing him to all the other 21-year-olds that you might know.
Myself at 21, probably not quite
ridiculous.
as mature.
Myself at 28, for sure. So, they, like, you see that. I think he is growing into power. Obviously, he showcased that in the minor leagues, but here it's just going to continue to be on display. Being able to use the whole field, because his strength has been going to left field, center field, left field as well. But some of the adjustments that he's made too, you look back at Houston, and he's pulling those balls. He's able to hit those balls out, pull side, and he's so young, but he is so dedicated to what he does day in and day out that we definitely haven't even come close to seeing the final version of him.
At the same time, you're seeing a very good version of him.
Very.
And you've had a chance to work with a number of young players transitioning, like either coming through the minors or transitioning to the big leagues, who ended up being really special talents, right? Like you had Alex Bregman when he was going through. You got a chance to see what Baby Bregman looked like. What did Baby Bregman look like in back in? I think you were with him in Houston in 2015, 2016, right before he was making his debut.
So I never had him during the season. I'm wondering if Ben Rosenthal, who's one of our other assistant hitting coaches, had him, because me and him were both coaching in the Astros system at that time. But because I was able to help him or spend time with him during spring training, and because I lived locally, and I remember, I think the first day it was, I was hitting fungos to him, not just purely being the hitting coach. But he always, from that day, like the first day that I met him, he had this process, very detailed process that he was going to stick to. And I think I've told this story before, but I will always remember he was getting in extra swings by himself in the cage, just off of a tee. And I think a minor leaguer walked in, and, this does say something about Breg's personality, and he's laser focused. And he, the player asked him what he was working on, and he said being the best hitter in the history of baseball. Like that is like legitimately his goal. And he's been so helpful here, just to see, have him. We're very lucky to have him, with the young team, but also because for just a million different reasons. And that same process, that same focus that he had even way back when in Houston, he still has it now.
He was a super advanced hitter at that point, and yet he struggled when he got to the major leagues. Like it wasn't punch outs all over the place, but he had that stretch where it was like 2 for 41 or something like that when he made his big league debut. Before he quickly found his footing. Like he found his footing at an absurdly fast pace. Did Roman's debut remind you a little bit of that, where it took him about a week before, there was about a week of bad results there, right? And it's like, this guy is supposed to be the most advanced hitter in the world and the best prospect in all of baseball. Why is he 1 for 17? And then all of a sudden, then it's like, calm down, everybody. He's going to be okay.
He's settled in. He has settled in well. But these are one of the things, again, that you just don't have control over.
Yeah.
And everyone develops at different rates. They may follow similar patterns and hit certain stages, milestones as they develop, and maybe those kind of milestones are fairly consistent. But when they hit those, or how long it might take for an adjustment to to show up and come through with positive results, sometimes that's just really difficult to predict and have control over. But again, for him, you're really thinking about the consistency of his day-to-day behavior, where he is he's coming in with a purpose to get better, to accomplish these things. And so from that standpoint, everything about his day is consistent, and I think you see it out here on the field too.
It's interesting to hear you talk about different rates of development, because you also got a chance to work in New York with someone who had a very different rate of development, very different trajectory, right? When we think about Aaron Judge, he was a guy who, as it took him a while, right? A 2012 first round pick who didn't get to the major leagues until 2016. So That's right. That's unusual. First round pick who takes that long to grind through the minors, especially now you see guys just flying through. And then even when he got to the big leagues in 2016, it was a lot of punch outs, right? Like he was running a 40% punch out rate in the big leagues. And so a lot of people would look at that and be like, I don't know if this is going to work. And then all of a sudden in 2017, he's a rookie of the year, MVP runner up who's hitting 50 homers in the big leagues. You got a chance to see Aaron Judge at a point where he's continuing to get better in his 30s, right? That's also crazy. You got to be there for the 62 homer season. How would you describe both the development path of Aaron Judge and what it was like to witness a season like that, from that kind of proximity?
I mean, right now we're kind of like talking about the average rate of certain things, and it's an average rate because of hitters like myself are being lumped in with hitters like Aaron Judge, and so that brings the average
little
down.
Difference.
He brings the average up, I bring the average down. So it's whether it took him longer to start being performing at this level in the big leagues, that's I've got no problem with it. I've got nothing to say about that because clearly he's doing what he's always been able to do, or maybe he's performing at a level, and who knows when. I mean, his career and the length of amazing performance, it might end up being the exact same length of time, right? Like you said, he's doing these things into his 30s, but he's a massive outlier, and that's not just because of his size, but again, you go back to the work ethic, you go back to the focus and how motivated he is. He's a special player.
What kind of adjustments were, because I remember like that 2022 season from afar was kind of breathtaking to watch as someone who, I've like in my own way as a person who never was, who has zero hitting experience at any meaningful competitive level, I nonetheless like to geek out about hitting. And it was like amazing to watch him have this breakthrough with his hit tool as much as anything else. Right. And it's almost like the 62 homers followed the fact that he had just, like he was solving the batter-pitcher mystery in a way that maybe he hadn't before. Like, how would you describe what that season was like, and what allowed him to unlock that historic run?
I think he does. He gets better with experience, and you even see it now. The hit tool continues to come out. You look at the batting average this year, and
crazy,
and he's not losing it with power. He's able to maintain the power while he is still hitting for this super high average. And so I think that, the sky is the limit for him. We don't know where he's going to take it to next, but he does continue to evolve. And I think that part of that is a testament to his preparation. He's incredibly diligent, but then now once he has experience in this game against that particular team, against that particular pitcher, he's able to really use that experience to his advantage and be even more prepared going into each and every at-bat.
So we started this conversation talking about pull versus oppo and taking advantage of your park. With Aaron, was there a shift of emphasis, shift of sights that year in terms of I do believe that the spray chart started looking, even though the scatter plot is just homers all over the park, right? Like he's, mishit, it's going, 30 rows deep in Yankee Stadium to right field. But was there more of an emphasis that year in terms of pulling the ball in the air? I
don't know that we really ever explicitly talked about pulling the ball better, but I kind of how we started this conversation where it's like every hitter wants to be as well-rounded as possible. And so I think he wants to be as complete of a hitter. And yes, maybe when he was younger, you had all those strikeouts. It's like, okay, so on his list of goals, I'm sure, okay, we're going to knock that down. And, it isn't going to just be homers, oppo, but I'm going to now open it up whole side because maybe a pitcher's attacking me this way, and it's what the game is asking me to be able to do. And so he's shown an incredible ability to learn and adapt whatever the game or the opposing pitcher is forcing him to do, and being able to cover up a hole or, take advantage of one of his strengths. And so I think more so than anything, he was just growing into the player that he is now.
So you are now, as I said, in year 2 with the Red Sox. hitting is a space that's changing rapidly. What's different about, like, is hitting are you emphasizing different things here now with the Red Sox than you were over your time with the Yankees?
I think at this level, so much of it is right. Like, you're trying to win the game.
Yeah.
And as part of the offensive group, our job is to score the runs, and so you look at who you have to score runs against, and defenses are getting better, pitchers are getting better. It's not just that fastball velocities have reached all-time highs, but it's also across the board. How many guys are throwing 97 or more? And then with that, they're throwing 3 different fastballs.
Right.
They're throwing their sliders harder, their curveballs harder. You've got new pitches with the incredible ability of the pitching coaches and the players to be able to execute on it. That you've got new pitches being designed. And you've got pitches. It's harder. They're moving every which way, and so for us, it's about adapting to that. And so you're adapting from when I grew up, it was basically right. I'm on time to the fastball, and I'll just adjust if it's not a fastball.
Right.
And certain pitchers, because of what they have, or how they use it, or where they're able to locate it, if they've got elite command of it, and we saw. An example of that last night with Trevor Rogers. But they force you to do maybe some different things where it can't just be your stock fastball adjust approach, and you might have to take away a breaking ball, or you might have to completely sell out to the fastball to where you're going to take all spin. You're going to pick a half of the plate. There's a lot of options, and certain guys like some of those options more than others. But it's a lot of the hitting development, at least at this level currently, is in that game plan, in that game planning realm, in order to score enough runs that we can win some games.
There's been a lot of adaptation this year on members of your lineup, right? Like, watching the in-season arc of like a Trevor Story has been pretty remarkable. Watching Roman Anthony's rapid growth in the big league has been remarkable. Is there one player who's really kind of amazed you in terms of the in-season adjustments they've been able to make in order to kind of change the trajectory of what they've been doing?
Whether you say amazed, I would just say
impressed.
I would say I'm incredibly happy to see Trevor back on the field, playing as many games as he has, performing the way that he has. It is incredibly difficult to, come back from injuries, not just physically, but mentally, and wonder if you're ever going to get back to that point that you felt you were at a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And we've got guys that are obviously going through that with whether on the mound or somebody like Trevor. And so you just can't help but just be happy for him. The things that he's had to do, the sacrifices he's had to make, even with his family, and I'm going to go get this extra workout in, and you just think that's the most amazing part.
So, taking a step back, Yankee Stadium used to be your workplace, right? How much do you enjoy? How much are you looking forward to a weekend in mid-August? 4-game series in mid-August, getting to go in and face the team that you work for, working for the team that you do work for, and having that atmosphere at a time when both teams are chasing after that same postseason thing.
I mean, there's no lack of motivation.
Yeah.
But I loved my time in New York, the city, the team, the fans. It's a one of a kind of experience, and so I love going back. I love playing the Yankees. I definitely am looking for a different result now that I'm with Boston, and I think that it should shape up to be a really fun and competitive series, one that I hope we win.
And you're going to be encouraging all of your right-handed hitters to shoot line drives to right field because, totally different ballpark.
Hey, if it's maybe not even just the line drives, we'll go for the opposite field home runs.
You'll go for a little lift, get it 24 degrees, 27 degrees.
Yeah, we'll just
take that.
fly balls everywhere.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Dillon. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
310 to Left is presented by your New England Ford dealers who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 310 to Left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox.
And back on 310 to Left, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers. Lenny, you heard from Dillon Lawson, but I think that there's a bigger picture in play here, which is it's the middle of August. The Red Sox are playing for something meaningful. So are the Yankees. They're going to be meeting 4 games in Yankee Stadium. Like, what is this stretch of the season? What are these games like in the later part of the season when you are chasing after something meaningful, right? And both the two teams are right there in the standings. As we're talking, they're separated by 1 game. How do you describe what these games mean?
Let's see. In a word, unfamiliar. It's been quite some time since we've had meaningful games at this part of the season. And yeah, Red Sox, Yankees, Fenway Park, Yankee Stadium, they always seem meaningful, but this is huge. This is huge. Every game is going to come down to it. It's going to be close. And Fenway Park just had, I think, 16 sellouts in a row because the team overall this season has been playing good baseball. It's been fun to watch. And listen, the Yankees are in it as well. So I'm sure the 10th man on their squad is going to be there, loud and ready to be yelling at the Red Sox players consistently. I remember my first outing in the big leagues was April of '04, and the stuff they were yelling at me in April was stuff that I can never repeat ever. So I can only imagine, and that's how it should be, right? Whether it's Fenway or Yankee Stadium, you love the rivalry. You feel like it's sort of, I don't know, it's not where it was 21 years ago, but
no,
it's
the
still
number
there.
of fights in the bleachers has gone down precipitously. Like when I moved up here, when I was in college, it was mind-boggling to see what was going on in the stands during Red Sox Yankees games. Like it was then the rivalry had a different meaning than what it's been. But part of that has been like also in the last 5 or 10 years, it's been like it's those two teams were like back in when you were there at the peak of the rivalry, Lenny, making that debut in 2004 in the rivalry. Like that was the 2-year arc that was at an absolute crescendo, and you need teams to be good in order to recreate anything that even approximates that.
Yeah, I mean, when's the last melee? Was that Joe Kelly Fight Club? Was that the last time we've had a real good kind of on the field where
I think that
actually,
was it. Yeah, you must be shocked, right? Like it used to be every other series that you were a part of with them.
and you hit it on the head. It happened on the field every now and then, but in the stands, it happened every game. I remember sitting in the bullpen at Fenway Park and looking over my shoulder and just seeing it was like a Charlie Brown cartoon of just a circle of people rolling down the stairs. Yankees fans, it was a sea of red and black. I'm not sure who was who, but it was a fight, and they're just going at it. And that was my first year. That was my first taste of the big leagues, and it was just very surreal to see that. You don't really get that anywhere else. I mean, maybe some other sports, but yeah, it was just something to behold. And you look back on it, and it was, I don't know if this is the right word, but it was kind of special. It's kind of special to be a part of that. And I'm not asking and I'm not advocating for fights on or off the field by a disclaimer, right? But
Yeah.
it was a fun time. It was a fun time. And if the rivalry's here and if there's a little bit of edge involved, it just makes it that much more entertaining. And we're looking for entertainment here. We want it to come down to the wire. We want the Red Sox and Yankees rivalry to be back. And let's see what the Red Sox can do in their territory rather than at Fenway Park, where they've been pretty good this season.
Are you not entertained, right? Like the whole gladiator proclamations. That's what we're looking for, I guess. But we make a big deal, of course, about the Red Sox and Yankees playing each other. They're both in position for the wild card. They have 2 of the 3 American League wild card berths right now, with the Mariners also in that mix. Although the Mariners have also been struggling. Are we at a point in the season where there's I believe that there's a 3-game gap between, so the Yankees are 1 game ahead, then the Mariners and the Red Sox are right behind them, and then there's a 3-game gap to the Kansas City Royals as we're talking. The Guardians are just behind that. Is this a battle for seeding at this point, or are the teams currently in position of wild card berths, Red Sox, Yankees, and Mariners? are they vulnerable? Is their footing secure right now? What do you see?
No footing is ever secure. That's the way I look at it, especially because of the way this team has been as far as being streaky. They can go on a run or they can go on a negative run really, really quickly. So I wouldn't be thinking, if I'm a Red Sox player, I'm not thinking about any sort of seeding right now. I'm thinking about winning every game, winning each at bat, winning each inning, going out there and competing day in and day out. Because you look at the big picture, you're missing what you need to be thinking about as far as the task at hand, winning every ball game. And there's so many one-run ball games that they've lost this year that if you take stock at the end of the season, saying, "Man, if I put a bunt down in this situation, or if I didn't strike out with that runner on second base, if I wasn't thrown out by coming off the bag at second base, I would have been in scoring position. Who knows what would have happened? You take half those games, you take a quarter of those one-run lost games, and you're in a way better situation. It's about doing the little things correct and staying consistent in that aspect. So yeah, you're never safe. A lot of these teams behind them, and I thought Cleveland was going to go on a run. They were
Toast.
so close; they could absolutely smell the playoffs. And we'll see. Listen, they still could. Kansas City's a really good ball club when they're playing good baseball. They're young. They've got some dynamic young players, but yeah, it's going to come down to it. And the fact that the Red Sox have the Yankees in the mix, they've got Toronto at the end of the year. They've got, going into, I'm going to say Houston, they had 8 of 11 series in a row that were sub 500 teams. We were talking
Yeah,
about that. But listen, what just happened? What just happened? You just got swept by Baltimore,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Miami. It doesn't matter. Big league teams are big league teams. They can beat you if you allow them.
Well, and this is what this year is in Major League Baseball. There are no super teams, and you have a bunch of teams that are competing. This is what it is to be a wild card contender, right? The Red Sox are a team that's like that is kind of trying to get around that 10 over 500 mark, but not able to sustain a level there. They've lost 4. They've lost 8 of 12 at this point, and this is a wild card contender that is streaky and inconsistent. It's not the juggernaut that goes through the season in the fashion of the 2007, 2013, 2018 Red Sox that are able to be remarkably consistent over the course of the season. There are, in a very flat American League race that lends itself to fast movement, both positive and negative in the standings. This is exactly what the American League and what the American League wildcard race is this year. So I tend to be with you. It's funny, you mentioned the Guardians and you thought they were going to make a run. I thought they were cooked at the deadline because they had just lost 2 key late innings pieces, and so much of their success has always been predicated on winning those close games. They lose Clase, they lose Ortiz, and still they persist. And we're seeing the Royals look like they were cooked when the Red Sox took 2 out of 3 from them at Fenway Park, and instead, boom, here they come from the outside on the outside rail. The Rangers look like the team that was going to be making the big run at the trade deadline. They move aggressively. They acquire Merrill Kelly. Everyone's up in arms. Why didn't the Red Sox acquire Merrill Kelly? The Rangers have fallen back now and are a half dozen games out of the wild card spot. So it is an American League that is wildly unpredictable. I don't think that it's great, but it does make for some entertainment and some possibilities of some whiplash as teams move around hairpin turns.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how streaky the Red Sox can be. Just get to the playoffs. Get to the playoffs and flip a coin at that point. As long as you're there, what Red Sox team are you going to get? You're going to get the 9-1 or the 1-9. So yeah, play good baseball now. Get to the playoffs and just take a chance that you're going to get that style of baseball that has helped them go on these long runs. That 10-game streak, that 7-game streak. And I mean, we'll see what happens from there. But it all comes down, like I said, to doing the little things right. Starts with starting pitching, bullpen, holding the line, quality offense, and all these aspects of the game at certain points of the season have been lights out, right? Just who are we going to see at certain points when it really counts toward the end of the year?
And who will we see this weekend in Yankee Stadium? So the fun is the fun is going to kick off. We'll see whether or not there are any fights in the stands or on the fields. Probably not, but that's okay as we advocate nonviolence. But nonetheless, we will be watching. Lenny, really great conversation. Thanks so much for joining, and great to connect. And again, great work over the. It was fun to be a part of. Of everything related to the Jimmy Fund, mission with you and with everyone else at Nesson over the last couple of days. So really grateful for everything that's happened this week.
Thanks, Alex. It's always a pleasure joining you, and I always feel like I'm more insightful after talking to you. So I appreciate that very much.
You opened my eyes always, Lenny. Great to talk. Thanks to everyone for watching. 310 to Left brought to you by your New England Ford dealers. We will be back next week and figure out what the state of the world is then.